Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night SmackDown review. And SmackDown tonight was, of course, from the PC, the Performance Center in Orlando. And, what can I say about SmackDown that I say every week about this show? Show was garbage tonight. Show was shit. It was terrible. I mean, SmackDown is literally the worst pro wrestling show on TV. And tonight we kicked off the tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion, because tonight was the first round tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion. WWE had to take the Intercontinental title off of Sami Zayn because he hasn't been on TV in months. And from what I heard, the only reason why Sami Zayn is not on TV is because, he doesn't want to come to work, and, he wants to protect his health, with the whole, outbreak, the whole coronavirus, going around. And plus I heard he has backstage heat. So with Sami Zayn not showing up to work, WWE had no choice but to take the Intercontinental title off of Sami Zayn. So the title is now vacant, and so WWE put together this whole tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion, and it was announced that it was going to take place on SmackDown tonight. So we had two matches for the first round, and then next week we're going to be getting two more matches. So tonight in the tournament we saw Elias. He took on Baron Corbin, which I'll get to, and we also saw Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. And so next week in the tournament, we're going to be seeing Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus, and AJ Styles, because of the whole brand versus brand invitation, which to me, it's nothing but, Wild Card 2.0. And yeah, we all know how that Wild Card rule, if you watched, last year, how awful and a mess that was. So Styles is coming from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown, and he's going to be facing Shinsuke Nakamura. Boy, how many times have we seen that? So there you go. That is your participants in this first round tournament for the Intercontinental Championship to crown a new Intercontinental Champion. But all in all, let's get on with the SmackDown review. So, SmackDown opened up tonight with Miz TV. Miz and John Morrison were in the ring. Miz went on to go about with his introductions that he always does. Welcome to the most must-see, show, blah blah blah. And he gets interrupted by Otis, by Mr. Money in the Bank winner Otis. So Otis came out. He was carrying the briefcase. He was going wild. Which was funny. We all love Otis. But Otis is having a pretty good year. He won at WrestleMania. He got Mandy Rose, and he won the Money in the Bank match. This past Sunday at Money in the Bank. So Otis ended up getting to the ring. He ended up taking a seat on, one of the chairs, the director's chair that they always have up for Miz TV. So Otis ended up sitting down on the chair and he breaks it. And he ends up telling the Miz that he will just stand. So he did end up standing. So Miz ended up congratulating Otis on the biggest win of his career, which of course winning the Money in the Bank match, the Money in the Bank briefcase. And Otis says this is the biggest win of his career. But the biggest win of his life is winning over his beautiful peach, none other than Mandy Rose. So John Morrison ended up wondering how Otis pulled for Mandy. He ended up saying that he must be packing some good meat in the briefcase. So Miz ended up getting Otis to reveal that he has the contract in the briefcase. He says he's got some Rolaids, gas X, and a bratwurst for later. And Miz ended up mentioning how Otis, didn't even climb up the ladder, and that he broke the ladder. So Morrison ended up asking Otis if he's pregnant, just messing around with Otis. And Miz ended up saying to Morrison that Otis is a man. Morrison ended up saying that anything is possible because it's 2020. So lame. This was lame, what John Morrison had to say. Very corny, joke to Otis. And they ended up saying that Otis should do the responsible thing and hand over the briefcase like Becky Lynch did to Asuka. So Miz ended up showing us some photos of Otis as a kid. So this whole Miz TV thing turned into a Otis, this is your life. That's what this basically was. So we saw a picture of Otis, as baby, and he ended up saying that Otis ended up saying that school didn't go well for him because he had a learning disability, and that his mother helped him so he could be there for the sports that he did. And Miz ended up not taking Otis seriously, and we had the Miz ranting, and Otis ended up asking if the Miz had a problem, and Otis ended up saying that Miz ended up saying that Otis is his problem, and Miz ended up saying that Otis is one step away from Universal Champion, from being the face of Smackdown. So Miz ended up saying that he can't take it anymore. And he ends up telling Otis to call Tucker out here so they can have a match. And Otis ended up saying Tucker was unable to make it because Tucker has an illness. He wasn't feeling well. And Miz ended up saying that Otis can't even make a tag team match. So Miz ended up telling Otis to go find himself a partner. One who will want to team with the human version of Shrek. And pretty much that was basically how the segment ended, but just garbage segment to open SmackDown. It went from Miz TV and then to Otis's This Is Your Life, showing a photo of him when he was baby, and then him growing up, and him getting into sports, and then it went right back to being Miz TV, a regular Miz TV. just I just found it a mess. This whole segment a mess, in my opinion. So then we went to the first match of the night, which was a match in the first round tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion. It was Elias versus Corbin. And this match was boring. This match went on for too long. This match was long, in my opinion. And these are two guys who I don't even care for. And, they have their rivalry. I don't give a shit about their rivalry. Just the match itself was boring. So you had the match start off. Both of them are trading strikes, going from corner to corner. Corbin ended up going for a cheap shot, but Elias ended up kicking Corbin. Elias laid Corbin out with a big boot. Corbin ended up dropping Elias and went for a half crab. And Elias ended up kicking Corbin away. Corbin ended up getting more offense on Elias. And you had Elias did an arm drag to Corbin. Corbin ended up coming right back. And he kept Elias down. And there was a point where Corbin ended up taking Elias's guitar, ended up smashing it over the ring post, at the ring post. And in the end, Elias ended up rolling up Corbin. There you go. Elias ended up winning the match, so he advances in this tournament. Whoop-de-doo. I don't give a shit. All in all, boring match. And the match went on for too long. And it's two guys who I don't care about. I don't give a shit about. So then, after that, we saw Otis backstage. Sheamus then approached him. Otis ended up asking Sheamus if he wanted to be his tag team partner tonight for when they take on the Miz and John Morrison. And Sheamus ended up acting at Otis like he's going to, be the guy to tag with Otis. And Otis was, liking what, Sheamus had to say, thinking Sheamus would be his tag team partner. And Sheamus ends up going, not a chance, fella, to Otis. And then he walked off. And that was that. So it's not going to be Sheamus who's going to be Otis's tag team partner. So then Otis was still backstage. Mandy Rose ended up walking up to him. She ends up asking Otis how he's doing. Otis ended up telling Mandy Rose that he's not doing good. He ended up telling her Tucker isn't here because he's sick. And he ends up telling Mandy that he can't find a partner for him to take on the Miz and John Morrison. So Mandy Rose ends up suggesting to Otis that he should go speak to the Universal Champion, Braun Strowman. And Otis ended up telling Mandy that she's a genius. So Otis ends up walking off to go ask Strowman if he wants to be his tag team partner. And then he came back and gave a kiss to Mandy Rose. And that was basically that. So then we had the hacker, the mystery hacker, end up interrupting with another video from the desk that he was at. And the mystery hacker end up saying that they want to know who he is. So the hacker ends up turning around in his chair. He ends up saying that he is everywhere. He sees everyone. And that he hears everything. He ended up saying that he is the truth and that no one is safe. So we then see the mystery hacker press a button on his control panel. And we see, superstars appear on the screen. And then it says, the truth will be revealed in big letters on the screen. So that was basically that. But, we got to see who this mystery hacker is. I heard rumors on who it might be. There's rumors saying that it might be Mustafa Ali. There was another, one that said, it could be Chad Gable. So it could be either or two. And then I heard somewhere online saying that, this mystery hacker could be CM Punk. No, it's not CM Punk. If you believe it's CM Punk, you are crazy. It's not CM Punk. So then after that, we saw Otis then approached Braun Strowman backstage. And both him and Strowman congratulated each other on winning their matches at Money in the Bank. So Otis ended up asking Strowman to team up with him. Strowman ended up asking Otis if he's asking for a partner or just to get him in the ring to cash in the briefcase on him. So Otis ended up telling Strowman that he's not planning that. So Strowman ends up saying that he knows the game is played. He ended up saying to Otis that he has respect for him and that he will think about if he wants to be his partner for tonight. So that was basically that. So then we had the women's match. Naomi versus Dana Brooke. God-awful women's match. Naomi ended up starting off the match, going for a early roll-up on Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke came back, and Naomi then unloaded on Dana Brooke, sent her into the corner. Naomi did a run splash. And in the end, you had Dana Brooke end up countering a move from Naomi. And she ends up getting the win. There you go. Dana Brooke ends up winning the match. But who cares? Who cares? Oh man, we went from god-awful from Naomi versus Dana Brooke here to Charlotte Flair. Now, Charlotte Flair, with this whole brand versus brand invitational. Now we got to be punished by seeing Charlotte on Smackdown. So what WWE is doing is they're trying to punish the fans. So not only we got to see Charlotte on Monday on Raw, and we got to see her on NXT on Wednesday nights. So now we got to see her on SmackDown. Talk about overexposed. WWE is fucking overexposing Charlotte. And they think that Charlotte is a ratings draw. Newsflash, Charlotte is not a ratings draw. Charlotte is not going to be moving that needle and getting the ratings back up to a 2.0 or 2.5. No. Charlotte is not a draw. So we had Charlotte come out. She called herself the hardest working woman in the business, more like the overexposure hardworking woman in the business. She ended up saying that she's working all three brands because the numbers were crunched. And get this, I shit you not. She said this. She ended up saying that the people want more of her. The people want more of Charlotte. No, Charlotte. The people don't want more of you because you are being overexposed. From seeing you on Monday Night Raw to seeing you on NXT and now also on Smackdown. Talk about overexpose. And you know what? We could all thank Vince for that because this is Vince's plan. Vince wants to overexpose Charlotte and punish us by putting her on all three brands. And you know, with this brand versus brand invitational, it's going to be worse. You know, we're going to be seeing Charlotte on all three brands. Awful. God awful. So she ended up saying that Fox took advantage of the brand-to-brand invitation to get her here. And so out came Sasha and Bayley. And, you know, they both mocked Charlotte with woos. And Sasha ended up saying that it's nice to see Charlotte, you know, but she ends up saying, you know, she's a role model now. And that she doesn't lie. So both Sasha and Bayley remind us that the last time we saw Charlotte was when Bayley beat her for the title. So Charlotte ended up talking down on Bayley. Starts talking about her hairstyle. And then Bayley touted herself as the first Grand Slam champion. She ended up telling Charlotte to go back to NXT and give the youngsters something to look up to. And she ends up telling her, you know, you could go back to NXT or you could go back to Raw and keep beating Liv Morgan. So Bayley ended up bragging to Charlotte and told her to get the hell out of their ring. I applaud Bayley for that. So Charlotte ended up saying some things never change. She ended up saying Sasha made Bayley relevant when she was NXT Women's Champion. Which, you know, kind of have to agree with Charlotte on that. But she ends up saying now Sasha is the only reason Bayley is SmackDown Women's Champion. And Charlotte ended up trying to create, issues between Sasha and Bayley, saying she can't believe Sasha's content just being an afterthought in Bayley's corner. So then Bayley ended up telling Charlotte to shut up because she could never understand a friendship like theirs, like her and Sasha's. So Charlotte ended up asking for someone in the production truck, I guess, to cut Bayley's mic off so Sasha can talk. So Bayley ended up saying, enough talking to Charlotte. And that she's ready to fight. Charlotte ended up saying that Fox would love to have her on their show again. So she ends up accepting the challenge. So Charlotte ends up telling Sasha to think long and hard about this. Are you your own woman or just Bayley's lackey? And if Sasha's happy about being an afterthought. And so Charlotte then delivers a woo. And that was basically that. But we're going to be getting the match next week. Bayley versus Charlotte, champion versus champion, next week on Smackdown. So yeah, once again, we have to see Charlotte on Smackdown next week. God help us. So then we had Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton, she approached Braun Strowman backstage. Kayla Braxton ended up asking Strowman if him warming up is a sign that if he will team up with Otis. Strowman ended up saying that he's still thinking about it. And that was basically that. So Strowman was still thinking if he would be Otis' partner tonight. And then we had the Forgotten Sons. They end up cutting a promo backstage. You know, Jackson Ryker, Steve Cutler, Wesley Blake. Ryker ends up talking about how they chose to fight for the country and that the people failed to welcome them with open arms when they end up coming home. So he ended up saying that they will welcome everyone with closed fists. That was you know, the promo from the Forgotten Sons. But did not care. So then we had Renee Young. She was present tonight on Smackdown. She was backstage interviewing the Miz and John Morrison. And all Miz and Morrison was doing was just, you know, talking shit on Otis and then talking shit on Strowman. And that was basically that. They were dancing and singing, you know, hey, hey, ho, ho. That stupid chant that they do. You know, that, hey, hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Garbage. And so then we had another match in the first round tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion. Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. This was a really good match between the both of them. These guys were just, you know, teaming up, you know, but they're not, you know, a legitimate tag team. So they end up fighting tonight in this match. And we had the match start out with Daniel Bryan end up taking Gulak down. Gulak end up locking in, you know, scissors on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan took Gulak down by his arm. And Daniel Bryan ended up taking Gulak back down. They rolled around on the mat. Daniel Bryan ended up getting to the bottom rope. And we saw Daniel Bryan and Gulak end up staring down at each other. They end up locking up again. And Gulak ended up blocking a double underhook from Daniel Bryan. He backdrops Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ended up keeping the underhook locked on. Gulak ended up slamming Gulak and going right into the armbar. So at the end of the match, you had Gulak end up rolling, tried to break out of the heel hook because Daniel Bryan ended up locking in the heel hook on Gulak. Gulak ended up rolling. He tried to set himself and break up the heel hook. Daniel Bryan still kept the heel hook locked in, and Gulak ended up tapping out. So Daniel Bryan ends up moving on in the tournament. So Daniel Bryan will now face the winner of who wins next week, whether it be Sheamus or Jeff Hardy. So if it's Sheamus or Jeff Hardy that wins, Daniel Bryan will get to face, either one of them. And then Renee Young, post-match, Renee Young ended up interviewing Daniel Bryan. She ended up asking Daniel Bryan what it would mean for him to win the Intercontinental Championship. So Daniel Bryan ended up talking about being forced to forfeit the Intercontinental Championship when he had to retire. And he ended up saying that, when he was forced to forfeit the Intercontinental title when he had to retire, he never got another shot. And he ended up saying that he always wanted to make the Intercontinental title the title of Smackdown and defend it every week. He ended up saying to Renee that he wants the Intercontinental title to represent the absolute greatest wrestler in WWE. And he was saying he thinks that's him. So Renee Young ended up congratulating Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan ends up offering his hand to Gulak. They both shake hands. And that was basically that. But very good match between Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak. Good back and forth match between the both of them. A lot of good offense from them here in the match. So then we had Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler, which I gotta say, during this backstage promo, they look good together, both Sonya and Dolph. Sonya looked pretty here. So Sonya ends up saying that both her and Dolph are going to humiliate Mandy Rose and Otis next week. So next week we're going to be seeing a mixed tag team match with Otis and Mandy versus Sonya and Dolph. So Sonya goes on and she ends up predicting Mandy Rose will be barefoot in a trailer and cooking dinner for Otis and a bunch of kids one day. She also went on about how Mandy will never have the skill or mind she does. She ended up saying that she still has lots of plans to ruin Mandy's life. So Sonya ended up calling Mandy a bitch. She ends up blowing her a kiss. And pretty much that was basically that. It was just Sonya talking throughout this whole promo. Dolph Ziggler didn't even say a word. So then we had the main event. Miz and John Morrison versus Otis and the mystery partner. So, did Braun Strowman accept Otis to be his tag team partner? Well, yes. Braun Strowman was Otis's partner. Wanted to be Otis's partner. And so it was the Miz and John Morrison versus Otis and Braun Strowman. So the match itself, it was just meh, in my opinion. Otis ended up starting off with John Morrison. Morrison was unable to drop Otis. And Otis ended up delivering a shoulder tackle to Morrison. and he dragged Morrison into the mat, knocked the Miz off of the ring apron, and Otis ended up getting Braun Strowman. He tagged in Braun Strowman. Otis ended up getting Strowman to do the Caterpillar with him. And Strowman doing the Caterpillar was god-awful. I laughed at how bad Strowman did that Caterpillar. He barely did it. The only thing that he was good at was when him and Otis dropped the double elbow on Morrison. But Strowman doing that Caterpillar, barely doing it, was embarrassing. It was god-awful. So after both Otis and Strowman dropped the double elbow on Morrison, Miz and him retreated to the floor, and Smackdown went to commercial. Then when Smackdown came back, the Miz was in control of the match on Otis, and at the end of the match, you had Strowman end up grabbing Morrison out of nowhere, and he delivered a power slam to Morrison, and pretty much that was basically that. And then you had Braun Strowman doing the shoulder tackles on the outside of the ring. So Braun Strowman and Otis end up winning the match. Post-match, Otis end up raising the briefcase. Strowman end up raising the Universal Championship. And Mandy Rose ended up coming out. Strowman was distracted. And Strowman ended up turning around to Otis, getting into position because he thought Otis was going to cash in the briefcase. And Otis ended up saying that he was just messing around. He was just doing it for the laugh. So Strowman ended up staring Otis down. Otis then ended up hugging Mandy, picked her up. Strowman ended up raising the Universal Championship. And we saw Strowman's music end up hitting. Otis starts headbanging to Strowman's music. And that was basically how SmackDown went off the air. Main event between Miz and Morrison and Otis and Strowman, very meh, in my opinion. Maybe this gives us a sign that maybe Otis is going to cash in the briefcase and maybe win the Universal Championship. But who knows? Because it seemed like they were possibly teasing at that. But that was SmackDown tonight. Terrible show. God awful. Yes. Anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's SmackDown. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.